Osmosis is the movement of water molecules down a concentration gradient through a partially permeable membrane. Partially permeable means that some substances, but not all, can pass through it. Molecules that cannot pass through the membrane may be too large or have other characteristics which prevent them from crossing. Fundamentally, it is important to remember that osmosis refers only to the movement of water molecules. We can determine the direction of water movement in a given scenario if we know the difference in water concentration. A solution with a high water concentration will have a low concentration of solute particles such as salt or sugar. This means that the solution is dilute. Conversely, a solution with a low water concentration and a high solute concentration is a concentrated solution. Like with diffusion, molecules move down the concentration gradient from where there is a higher water concentration to where there is a lower water concentration until the water particles are distributed evenly. You should remember that osmosis is considered a special type of diffusion. Students studying the extended content are required to also explain water concentrations using the term water potential. A concentrated solution has a low concentration of water, which is a low water potential, whereas a dilute solution has a high concentration of water, which is a high water potential. The definition of osmosis can then be written as the net or overall movement of water molecules from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential through a partially permeable membrane. Note that when the concentration evens out, osmosis doesn't stop, but there will be no further net movement. This means that the particles will move in one direction across the membrane at the same rate that they move in the other direction. The cell membrane is an important example of a partially permeable membrane. Many processes in plants and animals rely on osmosis across this membrane. For example, osmosis is responsible for the opening and closing of guard cells to allow gas exchange in the leaves of plants. Additionally, the uptake of water into the roots of plants occurs by osmosis. In animals, water is reabsorbed by the nephrons in the kidney and the cells of the small intestine by osmosis to ensure a healthy water balance for cell activity. You will cover these examples in more detail during the biology course. Let's look at an example of a question which you may encounter in an exam. The question shows a diagram of 3 cells with different concentrations of sugar solution. You are asked to describe and explain the movement of water between cells in the diagram. Describe questions require you to give detail about what will happen, whereas the explain command word requires you to say why the water moves in the way that you have described. Remember that if the solute concentration is high, the water concentration will be low, so cell Z has the lowest water concentration. To obtain all 3 marks here, you must describe that water moves from the cells with the highest water concentration, X and Y, to the cells with the lowest water concentration, Z. As we are describing osmosis, it is important to include our key word. Finally, we need to explain why the water moves in this way. This is because the water concentration is lower in Z compared to X or Y. In summary, osmosis is a type of diffusion. It refers to the movement of water molecules only from an area of high water concentration to an area of low water concentration. Osmosis plays a key role in living systems. Extended students should use the term water potential to refer to water concentration,